Welcome back to Snacks and Facts with Snack Size History and these things that I'm gonna eat. And I'm a little bit sick, so excuse me.
Don't! You have to share that!
Today in history we have the Woodstock Festival, the Wow Signal, and Divine Winds. Today's snacks are these things. Meiji Hello Panda shrimp flavored crackers. And this. This is tamarind.
They were picked off a tree, put into the... I guess it's the first one you're trying.
Alright. Oh, what? It looks like a body. Like, I'm just talking about the anatomy of it is disturbingly alien. Look at that. It's like, the nerves inside of me and you and everyone.
Okay, just eat it.
It tastes like something that I've had. Oh, I can smell it already. It smells kind of like the food that you give to your fish. Not in a bad way. It's got anchovies in it, that's why. And kelp.
I forgot how fishy they were.
Yeah, very fishy.
Pandas doing things that they're not meant to do. Thank you.
Pandas can't do anything. That's what's interesting about green tea is it's like, it's not sweet, but it is.
Let's get to the facts.
I can imagine that most of you watching will have heard of the Woodstock Music and Art Fair, Woodstock Festival, the 3-day event, 15th of August to the 18th of August, that turned into 4 days full of peace, music, and mud. This is another event that will be having its 50th anniversary next year, but I'm excited about it now. Woodstock definitely was a great example of the masses coming together peacefully, but it was not without its drama, so let's get basic and discuss. Woodstock was always meant to be a profit-making event. It only became free and hippie-like because they didn't have time to secure the venue and did not expect the mass of people that would arrive. So people just slipped through the gaps in the gates and they just gave up on that and would make their money back later with the Academy Award-winning documentary, Woodstock. You know, 500,000 people arrived at one point.
That's a lot of poops everywhere.
Even though it's called Woodstock, the organisers wanted to have it take place in Wallkill, New York. That's not Woodstock! And then, when the owners got all argy-bargy about it, they then had it in Bethel, New York. That's definitely not Woodstock! People living there didn't like that either, but the dairy farmer Max Yasgur, even when facing a boycott of his farm's milk, held it anyway. You can thank Creedence Clearwater Revival for there even being an epic festival. After they signed on, a lot of other big acts signed on too. The Revival band would go on to play after midnight though, to a sleeping crowd covered in mud. Jimi Hendrix would take the stage at about 9 AM on the 4th day. How does one even rock and or roll at that time in the morning?
You don't know how to live if you haven't rocked and or rolled at 7 AM.
Some of the classic music artists that were considered invited miss declined were Bob Dylan. He didn't want dirty hippies in his town. The Doors, they thought it was going to be a subpar festival. Rugrat. And Joni Mitchell. Mitchell's manager made her miss the festival to appear on the Dick Cavett show that ended up being all about Woodstock anyway. We are Stardust. Can such an event ever be recreated with the same impact as the first? Apparently not, for whoever sent the wow signal. The wow signal was a narrowband radio signal. ETMLI5, broad means wide, duh. Band means frequencies, so narrowband is a small width of frequencies. Narrowband is used for long-range, low-power, reliable communication with a low data rate, so no 8-hour-long RIP Vine compilations there.
I smell like bee.
The military and public address radio systems use this because of their reliability. So when the zombies come and you're cradling the radio, you can tell your undead Arnie that she's listening to a narrowband radio signal before she eats you. Ohio State University made the Big Ear radio telescope because they wanted to search for extraterrestrial life. Okay, Ohio. And on August 15th, 1977, they received the 72-second long signal 6EQUJ5. What is this? An episode of Lost? No, it's not an encoded message. It's a flash of radio energy. Astronomer Jerry R. Eman, a volunteer for the project, found the signal a few days later when reviewing the data and wrote next to it, which is why it's called WOW. The only problem is it never occurred again, and they don't exactly know where it comes from. They suspect that it's from around the constellation Sagittarius. Typical Sagittarius. Look at me, I'm so deep. Or am I? Who cares? Stop looking at me. Woo! Eamon himself thinks that it could have been an Earth source signal that bounced off some space junk. Some other guy last year said it was comets, and the nerds were like, how can it be comets? They weren't even in the same beam. Sit down, Antonio. Then, 35 years later, in 2012, the National Geographic Channel organised to have 10,000 tweets and celebrity messages beamed towards the signal's origin with a crazy strong transmission, all to advertise their show, Chasing UFOs, which was really, really bad. Now the aliens don't call anymore because they don't like our taste in TV. The Mongol Empire was persistent in its attempts to conquer China, Korea, and Japan. Under Genghis Khan, the Mongolian forces would continually raid Western China from the early 13th century. By 1279, the Mongol leader Kublai Khan defeated the Song dynasty, and all of China was under the Yuan dynasty's ruling. Meanwhile, the Mongolian invasions of Korea from 1231 forced Korea to become subordinate to the Mongols from the late 13th to early 14th century. The empire would then turn to Japan and attempt to invade the country from 1274 to 1281. Anywhere from 23 to 140,000, depending on what source you believe, soldiers and sailors descended on the outnumbered Japanese army, but the Japanese army had built a 2-meter-high wall along the coastline that the Mongol armies were not able to penetrate. And then came the Divine Wind. Kamikaze, which means divine wind, was a huge typhoon that just destroyed the Mongol fleet. What's interesting is that this was the second time this happened. The Mongol army tried to invade 7 years earlier and were met with a typhoon. Then it happened again? I guess they took the hint because they never tried to invade Japan again. On the other side of the coin is the National Liberation Day of Korea, known as the Day the Light Returned, which commemorates the victory over Japan Day when the Second World War ended in 1945. On this day, most museums and public transport in Korea are free. Japanese rule of Korea began slowly in 1876 and was under the Japanese Empire's complete control by 1910. When the US and Soviet forces captured the peninsula, the rule ended. There was a lot of celebration, but also a lot of devastation during this time. So it's like, sad noms. Sad noms aside, happy birthday to Julia Child! The American chef, whom I only see in my mind now as Meryl Streep, was born 15th of August 1912. She had a yellow rose named after her, a special one, and her last meal was French onion soup. And the first recipe she ever made was shark repellent.
Yeah, that sounds fake.
No, the CIA posted about it.
They've never lied before.
Oh, you're on a list now. You're all on a list. Anyway, Child worked with the Office of Strategic Services, the forerunner for today's CIA, in the Emergency Sea Rescue Equipment section, where she had to make something to repel sharks, as they would often set off explosives meant for German U-boats.
Maybe they were German sharks.
Oh, suicide sharks. All I see now is that shark scene in Finding Nemo. Julia Child, saving sharks, empowering women in the kitchen. What a badass. So how was your day? Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Snacks and Facts and bearing with me through my cold. We'll have a video for you every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Schedule us in for your snack time. Or don't, I don't care what you do.